what are some quick conversion rate optimization hacks that everybody should do? Some quick, easy CRO hacks.
I would say the one thing that will give people the biggest needle movers would be to put a question on your thank you page. And you do that through the form of like a little pop-up. We use Lucky Orange to set it up. And the question that we ask is, what is the one thing that almost made you not buy? So all the people who have just spent money with you will tell you what friction they had on your website, what they didn't understand, what they wish they knew more about, what was a bother. And then we use that information when we get enough of them to go back and start clarifying things on the site. And that is responsible for probably 6 of our 10 biggest wins over the last 4 or 5 years, which is multiple millions in revenue.
That is fire. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay. This is for people who just purchased, or people who almost purchased and who didn't?
No, people who just purchased. So they spent money with you, and now you're asking them what was the one thing that almost kept them from buying. You'll get about 30% of people will answer it, and they just went through your website. So the information they give you is super relevant, super fresh, and they're trying to help you because they just spent money with you. So they have that feel good connection, and it just works. It works every time.
I just set up a form for one of my products, which is, how did you find out about this product and what caused you to purchase? And that comes right after the thank you page. And I wondered if there were different questions that I should be doing. And it sounds like maybe there are.
Yeah. Yeah, that one works because essentially I'm not sure knowing where they asked or where they found out about you gives you is relevant of information to make it easier for other buyers. That might help you a little bit with where your marketing is working. But I think that you could get that through an email just as easy. The way that we use that question, we literally do that on every single site that we work on, the very first thing, because what the customer gives us is way different than what the owner believes that we need to see.
I feel like that would also get people to like enjoy the product more, because they would qualify themselves.
Yes.
That's
100%.
That's crazy.
Plus they feel like they've contributed to your business. So now they feel more invested in seeing you win.
That's amazing. Okay. So, all right. But what about learning like what different campaigns are working? Because you can't track every campaign. There are some things that are very hard to track. For example, TikTok, or because I have like a weird funnel on TikTok or an Instagram Reel. There are just things that are harder to, or you have like word of mouth campaigns. And so, you want to find out how people are hearing about you. So would you recommend someone purchases, you ask them what caused you to almost not purchase, and then also follow up, or maybe at the same time simultaneously have an email that goes to the person when they just purchased and say like, thank you, if you don't mind me asking, how did you find out about this product? And like, what caused you? Because some people take weeks or months to convert. What caused you to convert? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah. So the second thing that we do is we set up a post-purchase survey. And so everybody that buys, what we do, we offer them a gift card that if they fill out the questions, and I think there's 7 or 8 questions on it, if they fill it out within 48 hours, we'll give them a gift card to come back and buy on the site. And what that does is, what we thought what we were doing was buying data. What we found out is when we set that up, those people come back and buy within 7 days, which is actually quicker than they've even received their product many times. And over time, those customers are about 4 or 5 times more valuable than the average customer. And so in those 7 or 8 questions, we asked them a whole bunch of stuff like what you talked about, like what other competitor sites did they go to, what affected their buying decision, what would they like to see in the future, a few other things. That we have an entire entire PDF on it, and I could share it with you. Put it in the show notes.
This is for e-com. And what type of things are you selling? Doing, I guess, the post-purchase survey and the post-purchase, like that one question, which is what caused you to almost not purchase. Also, what, like, I don't know what the range of prices for these products is. So could you share that?
Yeah, that the product price doesn't matter because you're collecting data. We have done that on sites that have a $3,000 average order value and sites that have a $50 average order value. It's congruent with the customer that's there because we're not calling out the price of the product. We're calling out wherever there might have been friction or misunderstanding, which would be, product agnostic, really.
What type of things are you selling?
Literally, we have 300 stores in our network that we mentor. So anywhere from supplements to clothes to welding tables to truck and car products. It's really, again, the product isn't what matters. It's the way that the human interacts with the website, which is what we care about, is the UX UI of the website.
So with that explained, I don't know if you can give an answer to this, but maybe you can. What does the perfect above the fold section look like for like a landing page that is meant to sell?
Great question. Yeah. So typically when you say a landing page, let's just say that's
sorry to interrupt. I
homepage.
want to explain for people listening or watching. Above the fold means what shows right when you land on a page before you start scrolling. Everything below the fold is when you start scrolling. Above the fold is before you start scrolling. It's for people listening.
Yeah, and why that's so important is because about 60% of people don't scroll. They'll click on what's above the fold or else they'll exit. And so it's a great question. And what I would say is, depending on the page you send them to, what's above the fold matters. And so on the home page, you have two things that are important. The homepage is not designed to sell. It's designed to build trust and to give them easy navigation to what they're looking for. And if you accomplish those two things, your conversions will go up. If they're landing on a product page, do they have enough information to make a buying decision based off the value of your product? And so I would say typically on there, bullet points, good imagery, and a headline matter the most on a product page to be above the fold.
You're probably watching this because you want customers or users or prospects for your business. Definitely customers. Users and prospects are a great way to get there. I have great news for you. I just released the most incredible program showing how to do this. It uses SEO, search engine optimization, to target customers who are looking for exactly what you are offering. These aren't people asking why, what, when. These are people who know what they want. They don't know the brand that's going to give it to them. And so they're looking for your brand. They're searching on Google. They're searching on Bing. They're asking ChatGPT. This method works even for ChatGPT or for Gemini or for Claude. SEO is my favorite channel because you can target people with purchase intent. People who are cash in hand. They're ready to purchase. They're ready to use. They're ready to take a call from you. This program gives an actionable plan, not just definitions and explanations. It's videos and templates that are meant to be copied and adapted for your business. It shows how to get the results that I get every day with step-by-step breakdowns. I make it super clear how to do this. It's very in-depth. Lots of people are already getting huge results from it. People are making tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month from this. I hope you'll check it out. It's at compactkeywords.com. Back to the podcast. I was expecting you to say things like logos of reputable companies or publishers that have talked about you or companies that use your product, or like the Visa, the Visa logos, the credit card logos, and you didn't say any of that stuff.
Yeah, people automatically make the assumption that you're going to accept credit cards. So honestly, that's a cognitive load that they're trying to process that they don't need. I did say that to build trust, and so that could be through demonstrating other companies that you deal with or other companies that are your client. So yeah, I think the logos of big reputable brands for sure would be under the trust banner of, hey, look at, we do business with other people who are, that
I've heard other people say that those logos should always be above the fold. It is like a must for above the fold sections. But I wonder if that's true. And I would like your opinion.
I think it depends on the product. For sure, somebody who makes a $50 or $60 decision need less information and probably doubts the validity of what you're selling compared to a much higher product. You get into the hundreds of dollars per average order value. I do think, and I'm very aware that sites are contextual. So if you feel like a cookie cutter approach, if you see somebody else doing it, so you do it, you're not necessarily going to get the same result. I think that your site, you need to really understand who your demographic is that's buying from you. If it's an older demographic, trust might be a lot more relevant issue because they don't feel as safe spending online. And a lot of people make the assumption that everybody buys stuff online now, and that's just not true. Before COVID, it was about 10% of sales were done online. During COVID, it got up to as high as 33%, and now it's back down like 27, 28%. So people are still learning and adopting buying online.
So you're saying the logos aren't always necessary and people build trust in different ways, and you have to learn how your audience builds trust.
Yeah, 100%.
And logos are not logos. Bullets are pretty important because they get your point across very fast. You want to have a strong H1. You mentioned an image. What is better, an image or a video? Or does it depend?
I would say it depends. If your product requires a little bit of education, having like a GIF or a video works really well. But typically, because we deal with physical products so much, having that product in a lifestyle shot where it's in relation to something else so that they can see the size of it or the scope of it, and then also the product itself being very clear.
What are some niches where you'd want to have a video versus an image?
I honestly, I think you would want both. I think you would use both because not everybody goes through your website the same. In fact, I can actually give a damaging admission. When we first started split testing 8-9 years ago, we would find a win on a page and then we would look for something else to test. And what we realized is when we found that win, we then could put that in other places on the same page and continue to get lift. And so what that taught us is some people do scroll, some people watch the video, some people read the description, some people go all the way to the bottom of the page. And if you have the winning elements in multiple places, that typically continues to increase conversions. And so we would do that until we no longer got a lift, and then we would go to the next thing to test.
I want to ask what some of those winning elements are. But before I do that, I want to also ask about the H1, the heading, the top heading that you would have above the fold. That's so important. So many people, I mean, it's just like you said, 60% of people don't scroll. So maximizing, really thinking so hard about what you have above the fold is like, that's where you should be putting all of your effort and energy, or most of it. What are mistakes that people make with a top heading? With an H1, with writing their copy, with maybe not selling the features, not the benefits, or what are some things that you see there?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of times people try to be fancy with their words instead of clear. And so we always do what we call a Homer Simpson check, make it Homer Simpson simple. It's crazy how many times people have their own made up word for their accessories or their own made up word for things that nobody else would understand except for them. And we know that people don't click on things that they don't know where it's going to take them a lot of times. And so really what they're doing is they're turning off parts of their site without even realizing it, and people won't use it. And so they're hurting themselves by doing that. The other thing is a lot of times they think that that header is for SEO, and in some aspects it is, but people don't read things that are good for SEO. You want it to be crystal clear for them to know exactly what they're getting, not this long whole bunch of extra words stuffed in there.
What I always say is people should have their own pages for SEO, but their main, like if they're running a bunch of different campaigns that are not SEO and they're sending people to a landing page, that landing page is not for SEO. That landing page is meant first and foremost to sell the people who are coming here not from SEO. In order to actually have like sales pages with SEO, that's when you target the keywords, and those are sales pages directly meant for people arriving from search. But the way to really do it is you make those pages also kind of look organic to your site, not like they're just SEO pages. There's like a standard bottom of funnel SEO format, which I talk about all the time.
We put progressive disclosure down below a lot of the elements that you need to sell. And in that progressive disclosure, you can have the SEO terms and articles and stuff like that so that it's still on the page.
What are examples of a bad H1 turned to a good H1? And for people listening in the H1, when I keep saying H1, that's basically your top header. Then you have H1s, H2s, H3s. H2s would be like spread throughout the page. Those would be subheaders. And then you could have subheaders for the subheaders, and those are H3s. But you only have one H1 per page. That's the best practice. And the H1 appears at the top of the page. And so what are examples of like a bad H1 turned to a good H1?
Yeah, I would just go back to what I was saying. You see a lot of times people will use the headers that they use for Amazon on a regular Shopify site, and it doesn't work. It doesn't translate across. So I think a short, punchy, like you said, the benefits, not the features, because people buy benefits.
So it could be an H1 for one of your businesses, but do you have any like extraordinary H1s just off the top of your head I can think of?
I don't think I would be able to give a good example of one that.
Or could you pull up a landing page really fast? I think actually hearing the copy is so important for people, and that's such a common mistake that you will put copy that is just kind of meaningless to people, to potential buyers who are landing on your page, and they're just bouncing. They're just bouncing right away. And so I think hearing about, I like the contrast of a good H1 and a bad H1. Like, for example, or just good copy versus bad copy. I think I remember the iPod it was like 1,000 songs in your pocket and not 5 gigabytes of like hold like 5 gigabytes of songs. It was said like, actually, I think it was way less than 5 gigabytes, but still, it didn't talk about the storage. It talked about this is what it can do, and this is what you are getting. You get 1,000 songs in your pocket, not this feature.
Yeah, the ones I'm looking at, they're basically just very clear, like 1.5-inch traditional buckle and gunmetal. I'm trying to find something. These are just descriptive. We have not found, we found simple always works better. And so, again, like I said, Homer Simpson, it's very difficult to, this says Anson belt 4-strap hanger in gunmetal. So it gives you exactly what it is. And then in the description, it says fits both sizes. So now they know. All of
How
that. How
much does this cost?
Again, $24.
And it's a one-time purchase.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and how are people arriving on this landing page?
Paid media and organic traffic, both.
That one makes more sense. I think I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to either recurring payments or larger purchases, that's when it's better to have and really correct me if I'm wrong, but that's when it's better to have an H1 that sells the benefits, not the features.
Yes, 100%, because subscription is much harder to get a commitment to than a one-time purchase. I would 100% agree with that. And so on the ones that we do supplements, we certainly, in the description to get them to commit to the supplement, that's expressed. And I typically, to be honest, think that you're much better at selling them the first purchase off of your website. Most people will not take the subscription because they don't know, like, and trust you until after they try it. And then the recurring should be done well in follow-up marketing, not in the, typically not on the product page right in the very beginning, because the chances of someone signing up for a subscription right off the bat is going to be typically only if they were referred to you from someone else or they've tried it before and now they're willing to buy that.
You said you would have the benefit in the description and not the H1. So it sounds like the H1 is always the thing. And then the description, the bullets, that's the benefits. Do I have that correct?
That's the way we do it.
Okay.
And, we definitely tested it a lot, and that's how we find. Again, I think it goes back to making it so clear that they can't misunderstand. If I'm trying to describe a whole bunch of things to them in the header, even the benefits, then they're going to maybe not understand exactly what they're getting.
And I guess a lot of it depends on how potential customers are arriving to the landing page as well.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a big thing. Let's say you have a subscription for software. Lots of listeners of the show have software businesses and they have recurring revenue. Are you going to have an H1 that says just what the software is or the name of the software? Or are you going, and it's not an SEO page. I guess your landing page is where you have the name and then you have okay, I'm just thinking about this strategically. The landing page is where you have like the name, and that's going to be the H1. And then you have use cases pages or like that show like how your
Case
brand
studies.
is versatile. Yeah. And that's where you're going to vary it up with the H1. Okay.
Yeah. I think software is a little different than a physical product because they know what they have to type in what they're looking for, and then the software is served up to them, or it's referred so they know what the software does. Now it's a matter of making sure that the features and benefits are going to give them what they need in order to use for their business.
That's why for SEO landing pages, and I talk about this all the time on the show, you have maybe your use case or you're an agency, so you're a services business, and you have one of the services that you offer, and then you have the name of the service or the name of the use case as the H1. You put that's basically your keyword. You put that in your URL, your page title, meta description, and beginning of the first sentence. And that's people don't know, they don't care about the brand at that point. They care about what they're getting, what the service that's being offered or the use case that's being satisfied. And it's kind of the same thing that you talked about with your H1.
Another thing that we've seen work very well for SEO is to make sure that your FAQ is written out in a way that the questions are buyer intent questions and that they're in H2, because then all of those support that. And when when Google is looking for who to serve up based off of the type of query that they made, having buyer intent questions and answers, Google wants to serve that up because it's giving the person exactly what they're looking for. So we found that FAQs done very well on the bottom of the product page in that format work really well for SEO.
FAQ sections are amazing. So you're saying for people listening, you have an FAQ section and each question is an H2. And then this shows as a featured snippet within Google.
Yep.
So the question is the H2, and then you have the normal description, which is just paragraph HTML text. Yeah, that's cool. That's really important. You mentioned spreading a lot of these best practices throughout a page. So now we've made it below the fold. People have started scrolling. what are some of these best practices that you spread throughout a landing page when you are trying to convert somebody?
Yeah, one is you're trying to get them to scroll, because the people that scroll will find more information. And so one way that we do that is we make sure that our site doesn't have a false bottom. And that's where on the bottom of the screen, if for some reason there's an image that ends, it has like an arrow pointing so that they know there's more below. Or you get it so that the tops of the images show at the bottom of the screen so that they realize there's more stuff. So whatever you can do to increase the likelihood that they'll scroll down, that helps on the page as well.
So basically someone arrives to your landing page and because I actually had this happen with one of my businesses and we had to fix it. People arrived to our landing page and they thought the above the fold content was all that there was, and they didn't realize that they were supposed to scroll and see the rest of it. I don't remember what we did. I think we put like an arrow pointing down.
Yep.
And then people just
That's
figured
what we
it
have
out.
on our site too.
Or we experimented. We did try with the images. So you have like just the tops of the images right at the bottom of the screen, and then people scroll down to see the tops of the images.
Yeah,
that's a
common well.
That's a common mistake. And so that sounds like it's a bigger mistake than I even realized, that lots of people make that.
A lot. Yes, it's very common, and it's one of the very first things that we look for.
Wow. What are some other best practices for landing pages? So we have FAQs. We have no false bottoms. Make sure people keep scrolling. We have an H1 that is selling a header that is selling whatever it is that people are on that page for. So if it's a landing page, if it's a home page, it's just going to be, the product will probably just be the H1. If it's like the home page, because it's the navigation page, like you explained. Then you have bullets. You try to make people understand what this is really fast. You have an image or maybe a video. And okay, so that's just summarizing everything so far. What else is there?
Yeah, I would say probably the most important thing is reviews. People don't want to be the very first one to buy something. They want to see that other people have. And a really interesting fact that most people don't think about or want to realize is that 2-star reviews get clicked on more than any other reviews. And they actually convert higher than anything else on the page if they're responded to in a good manner. And what I mean by that is people don't expect you to be perfect. They do expect you to take care of the problems. And so if all you do is push 5-star reviews, they actually don't trust that. So when they see that you have some lower reviews and you went in and answered them and taken care of the customer, those actually convert really, really high.
That's super interesting. But my question is, how do people see that the customer was taken care of? So it's a 2-star review, but you also want the people seeing that the customer was taken care of. Also, are you using a block of reviews? So you have 5-star reviews, you have like 2-star review padded by 5-star reviews. Like, how are you doing it? And how are you demonstrating to the visitor that the person who had the problem is being taken care of?
Yeah, there's all kinds of review widgets. And so it will show all the different ones. You can click on how many they had 5-star, how many 4, 3, 2, 1. And when they click on it, it'll show them all the 2-star. But you can also respond to each of those reviews that you push out onto the site. And so they'll see both.
Okay, so people, basically in this scenario, it's people who are sorting for different reviews, or maybe they're scrolling through a list of reviews, because now that's easy to imagine. It's like an Amazon page yeah, sure. That's super interesting. And then you say a nice thing to the person, so following up with a bad review.
Well, or I wouldn't necessarily say a nice thing, but take care of them. Like, oh, we're apologize for that happening, how can we help you? And a lot of times you'll just have a conversation right in that review, and you take care of the customer. But being transparent and showing that converts extremely high.
And it sounds like there's a principle there, which is demonstrate that you are responsive as a business owner. That's like
100%.
because for software you might not see that, and or like, there's many niches where you may not see that. Like a popular way of showing reviews is you'll have a big block of reviews, and you'll have different reviews moving up, different reviews moving down, and there are all these other reviews, people who are sharing videos, images. But the principle that you want to demonstrate one of the important principles that you want to demonstrate throughout your landing page is that you are responsive and you care. And so what are some ways of doing that if you don't have a review section where you are responding to reviews?
I don't know. I would say, why don't you have a review section? I tend to
sorry, I'm not saying that you don't have a review section. Reviews are very important. I'm saying you might not have reviews in the same, because some people, what they do is like, I think it's called like Wall of Fame or something. And they have just all these reviews as like a block section on their page. And it's just a ton of reviews. And a lot of the times people are handpicking the reviews as well.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what I would say. Of course, you don't want to push every review, because some things, no matter what you do, the customer is never going to be happy. So there's still some thought process put into what you're doing. But what I'm saying is, the more transparent you are and share that, the more trustworthy you become. And so, yeah, like you said, that Wall of Fame, many times that's like user generated content. And so that's a really good thing to do too, not just reviews, but also when you ask for reviews, some people will send in videos, unboxing videos, all kinds of stuff like that. That works very well too.
Man, there's so many different directions I could go with this now. I'm actually I've always personally been very interested in conversion rate optimization. This is very cool to hear. Okay. Reviews, super important. Oh, go
ahead.
No,
I was going to give you one more conversion trick, or not really trick, but psychology that works, and it's never, ever not gotten us a lift. And so what we do on the checkout page, where people have to give their information, I had read a book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And in there, he talks about people cutting in line, and how if you give a reason, then people will give you the information 4 or 5 times more readily. So it went from 20% of people allowed these people to cut to 80% of people allowed them to cut. And so I thought, okay, we get all these errors under email and phone number on the checkout page, because we track all of that for testing. And we were saying, okay, well, if we can fix those errors, we'll probably convert higher. And so what we did is we put text in there. Instead of just saying email, it says email required for order confirmation. Your order confirmation is opened 85% of the time. So those people want to see that their order was placed correctly. They'll give you their good email. So by doing that, we reduced the form field errors by 279%. So 3 times less errors by giving them a reason why. And then by giving them a really good reason why, because we tested multiple ones. This particular one, they'll give you their good email, and we noticed our abandoned recovery went up. Our marketing worked better, everything, because now we're in their main email. So we then moved down to the phone number, and we put phone required for shipping notifications. And by putting that, everybody wants to know when their product ships or when it's headed out. And so that SMS recovery is the number one source for physical product sites in revenue. By getting that correct, now we have their good email, their good phone number, our marketing works better, and we recover a lot more.
That's bomb. That's great. I love that. Okay, I remember one of the questions that I wanted to ask. Have you tested between, so someone reaches out to ask a question about your product. Have you tested between who responds? If it looks like an anonymous representative responds, support@soandso.com, or you have a person's name, or maybe you have someone who's listed as like co-founder or something, or like CEO. You have someone like the CEO is responding directly. Have you tested between those things? Does it make a difference?
We haven't tested. We have tested not using support, so putting in a pen name. But I've never personally put in like the CEO or founder, just for the simple fact of the other thing that I strongly believe in is that you never ever lie to the customer. So if you do, you're going to break the trust, and then the chances of doing business with them again and again.
Well, that was actually one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because I heard a insane story, and I shared this in a TikTok, I think like a year ago, and it went pretty viral. But it was a guy who was he just always lied. He would launch any new product, and he just put like the most authoritative press logos and company logos of people who were using his product. And he's like, well, they never ask. People never ask. People never go and check. And you can social proof yourself in any way that you want. And I basically what I wanted to ask was, have you heard of other people doing this and getting away with it?
Yeah, I haven't. Thankfully, the people that we deal with are building a brand, and we do have owners that still call the people that answer the phone when they do that. I definitely believe that having a phone matters a lot. There's just a lot of people that want to talk to someone. And a lot of times just putting your phone number on the website doesn't mean a whole bunch more people are going to call you. But in their mind, they say, oh, well, if I have an issue, there's a phone number so I could reach out. And that's enough to increase conversions all by itself.
And how about refund policies?
Yeah, that's the same. I 100%, yesterday I was doing a podcast and someone said, what's the consistent thing that you see across all your successful clients? And I would tell you 100% of the time, every one of the very successful ones have an extremely, extremely forgiving, return policy, great customer service. And so that one happy customer might tell one or two other people. The unhappy customers tell all kinds of people. And so over time, your customer service matters a lot.
It is frustrating though, because at some point you feel like you're a slave to the unhappy customers, because they are so volatile. They are basically bombs. Yeah. And it's like you need to do whatever you can to make sure that they don't go yell their loud mouth all over the internet, because a lot of them are people like that.
Yeah. Again, I think it goes back to what we were talking about with the reviews. Those type of people typically show their colors, and I don't think that their voice matters near as much as someone who has that you've tried to work with and take care of them.
One of the things, and this isn't applicable basically to all businesses at all. I mean, it's definitely not. But usually, I think higher priced items attract less of these very volatile people. Like,
yes,
it's basically a known thing that the more your product costs, the more well behaved your customers will be.
Yes, I 100% have seen that to be true.
And then, okay, so you've made the sale. How about, oh, no. Actually, okay, yeah, I wanted to ask you about Tripwire funnels, because you were talking about that a bit. So what is like a perfect funnel? Do you have like a perfect funnel? You might, because you've done so much testing.
No, I think it goes back to contextual. And Tripwires work good for specific items. I think a lot of times the low dollar product does exactly what we were talking about just before you brought that up, is it brings in a lot of low quality customers. I think the better thing to do is not have a low dollar product, but find a way to market it in a way that they can try it out and see what works without devaluing the product.
That makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense.
Yes. Yeah. I think low value, getting people on your list, that end up being problems down the road is a lot more work than having a better refined process.
Okay, so what do you mean by low value getting people on your list? Are you saying that you don't want to try to grow a large email list? Or like, are you saying yeah, actually, yeah.
I'm saying the quality matters over quantity. So, if your average order value is $130 and you're selling a shaker bottle, for free, plus shipping, you're going to get a whole lot of extra work with people that just are looking for something free that have no interest in your product. And, is the time invested in those people and the hassles of that worth, uh, the hassle? So I would say, I think it's much better to figure out how to market your $130 product than it is to use a shaker bottle to get, thousands of people on your email list that then mark you as spam or don't actually want your marketing and a whole bunch of other things that hurt the quality of your business.
That's okay. So I guess I have I actually haven't set this up yet. This is one of the things just on my to-do, which is a ManyChat integration for my social media channels. And for those who don't know, ManyChat is, maybe you might have seen it on Instagram, where the creator is like, comment this word and then you can get a guide, or we'll send you the link. So maybe like you make a video, you talk about some cool product or some free PDF or something, and you say, just DM the word growth and you'll get the link to that. And so you DM the word growth, and then you have a ManyChat automation, and it's just a bot that DMs the person who writes the word growth, and then the bot qualifies if they're already on your list, and if they're already on your list, they get it. If they're not already on your list, they have to sign up to your list, and then they get it. But it makes people sign up to your list. And I have lots of friends who do this. It's just one of the many things on my to-do. And they will have people comment like a word, and then they get the item in exchange for signing up to the list. And I even actually asked a friend of mine who came onto my podcast, my friend Avni, and she grew her newsletter from 0 to 80,000 people in, I think, 8 months or like 7 months. And she is doing this automation. And so I asked her, I said, when people sign up to your list in exchange for getting the thing that you mentioned in the video, are you telling them, are you sending a welcome email saying, welcome to my newsletter? And she's like, no. And I have no problem mentioning this because she talked about it on this podcast before. And so she's like, no, they just get signed up to the newsletter. But what I did do is I didn't ask her her open rates, because right now my open rates are insanely high. My open rates are between 40 and 70%. And I haven't done this yet, but it's one of the things that I plan on doing. But I do feel, I do wonder, and this is a question to you. It's a personal question, but it's also a question for like as a best practice. Have you heard about doing a strategy like this where you don't send a welcome email and people just start getting the newsletter right away? And
no, I haven't. We definitely have people that use this strategy and use ManyChat, and it's very good for even selling physical products. It's highly profitable. I would again default to, I think best practice is always being transparent and treating the customer exactly how we would like to be treated. I don't like it when I sign up for something and all of a sudden I hit unsubscribe and it shows me that I've been added to 12 lists. I hate that. Like, and instantly, well, I don't want
to be clear, that's a bit different. You don't want to subscribe to you don't want to get something from somebody and then find that you are added to a totally like another list. This is, in this specific scenario, my friend made something, or they're recommending something, and it's like, give me your email in order to get it, and they're getting like, the person who recommended
it. I'm assuming that what they're getting is super congruent with the newsletter. Otherwise, she went. There would be a disconnect. So yeah, I would say that works.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I would not forgo the step of, hey, I signed you up for the newsletter. we hope you love it. If not, feel free to unsubscribe. By saying that, now you're very transparent. You've connected with them. You're giving them the choice, or they feel like they have autonomy. I think that that subscriber is going to be much more valuable over time than someone who is just automatically added. But she could certainly prove me wrong and say, oh no, it works great for me.
No, that's actually a really good answer. And it's more so like, I think a lot of the times, and I fall into this trap myself all the time, like if I don't have the copy at hand, I'm like, how am I going to pull this off? But then when you hear copy that works, you're like, oh yeah, it's really simple. And it's like, you just literally just straight up tell them what you did. And what I would do is I would create a separate tag for people who subscribe, who are added to my audience, to my email marketing audience through this. And it would be a tag for like, I basically opted them in. And
or whatever the giveaway was, you would know what the, how many people you gave the giveaway to, and then how many of them unsubscribed. You could say, oh, okay, this particular lead magnet has an 80% capture rate of keeping people on the newsletter, or a 60%, because some of the lead magnets probably aren't going to resonate and keep them on. And so, I would for sure do that.
That's cool too. And you test what is working and what has higher retention, and then you double down on the magnets that have much higher retention.
Yeah, I think the cost to acquire a customer is getting higher and higher. And so that's not my strategy near as much as the retention and being able to market to people again and again and again once they bought something. And so I think optimizing the experience to where they trust you, they now know, like, and trust. Yeah, they know, like, and trust you. You're going to have the ability to market to them again and again by being very transparent.
I love that. And something that I mean, people who listen know that I talk about this often, is just, it's actually the power of building a brand. It's how important building a brand versus, and I read a marketer, I'm not going to say him because he's a pretty well-known marketer. He put up a post on LinkedIn and I read it this morning, and he's like, brands don't matter. Companies are just going and hiring like 5 to 50 influencers who all make videos every day showing a product. And now that you have an FYP that's based off of merit, not off of like a brand, it's just whoever can be the most viral as often as they can be, and brands don't really matter. And I don't know, I think like there's that initial step of like getting people into your funnel. But there was another stat that I read, and actually this one came from Neil Patel, and Neil Patel said it takes, between like 3 to 10 years to actually build a recognizable brand. For me, I think it took me like 2 years. And but the thing is, like, 3 years, okay, let's say it takes you 5 years to build a recognizable brand in the middle, or even 10 years to build a recognizable brand. 10 years, it might seem like a lot of time, but it's also not that much time. And it's like, when you have this brand, what do you want it to be known for? Actually,
and what's your mindset? Is this a cash flow business, which is a quick cash grab, or is this a legacy business that's going to take care of you, your family, and onward? So I think that different businesses have different life cycles, and for sure, I think the way that you build a brand is by making more sales. I think the brand is way less important than being really good and creating customer relations. The brand develops over time. Most people don't have a brand. Everybody talks about, oh, my brand. I'm like, okay, if you shut off ads, are you going to make sales? And they're like, no. I said, then you don't have a brand. People don't come look for you. You can't sustain your business without marketing.
Yeah, marketing is very, I mean, marketing and branding is like they go hand in hand. I saw Penske, what's his name? Jay Penske speak last year, and Penske Media Corporation, PMC, his company, is one of the biggest. There's like I think it was like 16 companies get the most clicks from Google, and they're corporations. They own lots of different publishers, and PMC is one of them. And so I saw him speak at the Forbes Iconoclast Summit last year. It's a great event. Lots of people. It was like this PE event, this private equity event. There was $200 trillion in capital under management in the room. It was crazy. and like only like 100 people there or something. But so he said when he started building PMC, he wanted to build a generation. That was the language that he used. He wanted to build a generational asset. And so many people are in like, are in for like, oh man, I listened to, I listened to this incredible podcast with Mr. Beast yesterday. And Mr. Beast, the most popular YouTuber in the world, he was asked, have you ever been offered to have your business acquired, to have your YouTube channel specifically acquired? And he's like, there was a point where I poked around and I asked people like what the numbers would be just because I was curious, but I never took it seriously because, and then he's like, I thought about Mark Zuckerberg, and Mark Zuckerberg famously offered to sell Facebook for $1 billion early on. And Mark Zuckerberg was like, well, if I sell Facebook for $1 billion, what am I going to do with that money? I'm just going to start another social network. And I already like the one that I have. And Mr. Beast was like, well, if I sell my YouTube channel, I'm just going to start another YouTube channel, but I already like the one that I have.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just personally, I think building brands are like the coolest thing. And also like the compounding effects that you get when you make mistakes. To build a brand, can you make mistakes and you learn from them and you improve? And that's also one of the reasons why I love conversion rate optimization, because conversion rate optimization, what you do is literally making 1,000 and 100, so many mistakes and learning from so many mistakes.
Yeah. I always tell people traffic is not your problem. Most sites convert around 2% on average. That means for every 100 people that said, I'm interested in what you're selling, I have a need, came to your site, and only 2 out of 100 bought. And most people think, oh, I need more traffic to make more sales. I disagree. I think making the UX UI better and capturing 2 to 3 more of those 98 people that left doubled your business on the same amount of ad spend. And when you do that, now you can go buy a lot more traffic than your competitors can. So I think that most people hear traffic. They have plenty of traffic. Lots of people come to their site. Just lots of people don't buy.
Well, that's so one of the things I always talk about is not really anybody knows about this. Only people who listen to my show or who I've told this about in real life know about it. But bottom of funnel search engine optimization is like the most powerful marketing channel, because what it is there are people who are going to Google looking exactly, they are super qualified, they know what they want, and they just don't know a brand that's going to satisfy their need. And so you find these keywords, and there's ways to find these keywords. You find keywords that people are searching for, which is they have a problem and they are going to Google looking for the solution. And once they find that solution, they pretty much like the conversion rates are crazy high, way more than 2%. And then they convert right away. However, in the process, what's very interesting is in the process of targeting that keyword effectively such so that you actually rank number 1 for it, you are also making a page that satisfies, you are actually making a good landing page. You are actually making, because because one of the biggest things for SEO is above the fold. Because like if you have a searcher who arrives on your page and your above the fold section sucks, they're going to pogo stick, they're going to bounce, they're going to return back to the search results, and then your site is going to lose its rankings. And I literally just had Bill Hartzer, one of the most well-known SEOs in the world, on this show a few episodes ago. And I asked him, like, what's more important, backlinks or engagement? He's like, engagement.
Yeah, 100%. That's Google's signal to know that you're actually giving them what they're looking for.
Yeah. And so in the process of actually targeting these keywords around like actual like purchase intent, you actually make a page as well that is satisfying searchers. Maybe one of the reasons that the conversion rates are so high is because in order to actually make a good page, like you also have to like sell people effectively. But there is a
well, you understand your customer because you're not looking at, hey, how do I sell more? You're looking at how do I solve problems?
Yeah. And a lot of these keywords also are just very low volume because naturally there's less people at the bottom of the funnel. And that's the
Yeah,
people
but they're
that
much
you're
higher
targeting.
buyer intent. That's where
Exactly.
the FAQ makes such a big difference.
Yeah. Um, how another interesting thing is just like how important increasing your prices. Like, because okay, so I really like what you said, which is like most people are leaving so many sales on the table. They get people coming to their page. The thing that this show does is like, I teach people how do you get people coming to your page. But okay, you get people coming to your page. We talked about a bunch of mistakes. What are some other mistakes that people make? Maybe it's price, for example. I just shared a story from Lars Lofgren about how everyone needs to increase their price. Like all
Yeah,
founders.
I agree with that. I think that far too few people test their price elasticity. One of the other things that we know, one of the highest reasons for abandoned carts is high shipping prices. And so I think a lot of times if you can bake the price of shipping into the product and offer free shipping or not, we don't say free shipping, we say we pay shipping because that's different. When you say free shipping, everybody thinks that shipping doesn't cost anything. And so instead of saying free shipping, we say we pay shipping. And now in their mind, they're like, oh, they're taking care of that cost. And that changes the dynamic of how we deal with the customer. And even we've noticed it's a lot better in customer support when they're like, oh, can we get a shipping tag? And you go, well, we paid to ship it to you. You need to ship it back. And people they don't balk at that at all because you've already done it.
The reason that is surprising for me to hear is because free shipping is like a well-known phrase and it's 2 words. We pay for shipping is 4 words and it's not
We
as well.
pay shipping.
We
Yeah,
pay shipping.
we pay shipping.
3 words. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But there's a total difference. If you think about it, is shipping free ever?
No.
No. So us saying we pay for it, now all of a sudden there's a psychological reciprocity. Oh, you're taking care of that for me. They have a different relationship with you than free shipping.
That makes a lot of sense. What are some so you've talked about just like standard Shopify, because I think you work with a lot of Shopify stores.
Yeah, the majority of our is physical product sites and some digital marketers. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any SaaS businesses that you work with?
Personally, ones that I am a partner in, yes, but not that we deal with as a client.
Okay. Well, so you're partnering with software service businesses. What are
Yep.
some things that you've seen with software as a service? I'm going to give you
As
2
far
niches.
as
Yeah. So okay, we talked
okay.
about we talked about just like standard like Shopify sites. The 2 categories, because there are also a lot of people who listen who are creators and maybe they're selling info products. So I'm curious, like your thoughts on CRO best practices for SaaS, things that you've seen, and then also CRO best practices for info products, things that you've seen.
Yeah, to be totally honest, I think it's the same. And the reason why I say that is because at the end of the day, the stuff that we're teaching is not like tricks or hacks. It's actually psychology. And no matter what, every single website is selling to a person. And so the things that we've talked about so far, every one of them have a psychological reason why it works and what the best practice is. I think the products are agnostic.
That's a good answer. That's a great answer. What's the last
A lot of
thing?
times we complicate it. We think, this is specific. You know, they're not talking about my problem. The truth of the matter is, the way that someone interacts and views your website is a psychological experience. It's not typically it's certainly not a physical thing because they're not touching it.
I have a final question.
Okay.
Question, and I think it's an appropriate final question. What does the perfect checkout section look like?
Hmm.
So that maybe so it's the
Um,
purchase section and then the checkout section, and maybe it's like you're listing your items and maybe you're listing extra benefits. I don't know what you're gonna say.
yeah, I would say what we've tested and find to work the very best is, again, going back to being really crystal clear, stating how many customers we've served or how long we've been in business, and then giving some reviews that are really, really high quality reviews. And I typically try to think about reviews that talk about common objections. So when the review, the reason why I do that is because if someone reads that, I want it to nudge them over the edge to go ahead and click the button and complete the purchase. And so if there's a couple of different things that are critical to your product, like how soon does it ship, or what problem does it solve, I would make sure that those reviews that are right there are not all about shipping. They would, one be about shipping, one be about the product, one be about the customer service. And by doing that, you're literally giving more opportunity for the different people that are going to go through that process to find what they need.
So you're saying actually put reviews in the checkout area at the bottom of the page when someone has the button for purchase.
Right below where you're asking for money, I want them to then have to go through those before they click the button, because I believe we've
You mean it? So
tested it a
sorry.
lot.
So above you want people to go through. So you have the reviews right above the checkout section.
Yep.
What was the other?
It depends on your checkout page. So we have ones where over to the right, it's giving the summary of everything. The left is your information. Underneath of the summary, we would have the reviews, and then you just scroll down and hit the button.
So you said review. Oh, and then so basically you're a lot of the things that you might have in your above the fold. It's kind of funny because we've come full circle. A lot of the things that you would have in your above the fold would also be in your checkout area.
Yeah. Again, going
The
back
social
to
proof.
each page has a particular purpose. Your checkout is obviously there to collect the money. And so what we're trying to do is give people trust signals, a phone number, a review, things like that, so that they go, oh, okay, well, if I have any issue, I'm going to be able to get a hold of them. And I also see that other people have had a great experience with them. I feel safe to go ahead and click the button.
Man, that's so fire, especially the phone number, putting the phone number there. Oh man, that's cool. I love that.
Yeah, and a lot of people think like adding the phone number on that section of the thing is like, oh, a bunch of people are going to call me. The only people that will call you are people that are ready to purchase right then. So those people are going to buy, but the phone number, we've put them on now for years, and nobody has ever said, oh man, now I'm getting all these phone calls, I don't like it, ever.
Wow.
It just displays trust.
Wow, that's so cool. Well, Matthew Stafford, where can people find you?
Our website is buildgrowscale.com. And if they would like us to look at their site or, give them some input, provide some value, you can email me at matt@buildgrowscale.com. And I answer all my emails and be happy to help.
How about socials? Are you on any socials?
Yeah, we're on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Awesome. How long have you been doing conversion rate optimization for?
Going on 10 years now.
Wow, so cool. Well, thank you for coming onto the show. Stick around when I wrap up, because the video is going to upload once I hit stop recording. But for everybody watching and listening, this has been episode 612 of The Edward Show. 612 days in a row doing my daily digital marketing podcast. Can you believe that? 612 days in a row. What? Episode 612. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Matthew Stafford, thanks again for joining. And everybody, I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.